Here. But first of all, thanks everyone for being here. This is really exciting for me to get to combine two passions of mine, which are coaching and technology. And if you're anything like me a couple years ago, you'd wonder what the hell do these two things have to do with one another? So that's what we're here to talk about today. Before I dig into the presentation, I want to do a quick survey, a focus group of the room here. Who here has heard of life coaching? Okay, you've all heard of it. That's great. When you guys are really my focus group. Okay. So what comes to mind when you hear the term life coach? Any volunteers? Yes.
Working in partnership, the coach and the client.
Working in partnership. Absolutely. Anything else?
Therapy.
Yes. Yes. What else?
Life.
Life. Yep.
Or work-life balance.
Work-life balance. Yeah. Anything else? Unbiased advisor. That's awesome. I love that. Anybody ever heard any negative connotations? Any kind of weirdness around life coaching? What have you heard?
More like a guru who thinks they know better than you.
Yeah. A guru.
You give them a destination, they decide that's a bad path. I was asking you how to get there, not how to just get
Yeah. Any others? Okay.
I think the problem is what I hear and what I've heard those who have approached life coaches is that the person that they've approached doesn't have experiential knowledge versus what they've learned.
Right.
There's a difference. How do I unpack this? And how do you help me unpack a certain problem if you haven't gone through it yourself? So
Right.
That's what
So like unexperienced, not
inexperienced,
qualified.
unqualified.
Yeah. Yep. I'd heard that too. Okay. Any others? Some of them for me, before I got into the field, were yogi. I thought all life coaches had to be yoga teachers, or spiritual gurus. I like that term. So yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about life coaching. Some are false, some are true. There actually is a very wide range of ways you can be a life coach and interact with a life coach. There are all ranges of qualifications and certifications and credentials, and some people have none of those, and some people have tons of those. One's not good, one's not bad, but we'll get to dig into some of that. But thank you. That was actually really good market research for me because I'm working on a branding strategy for my business. So, okay. So we talked about what we know and what we've heard, but when it comes to life coaching, what are you curious about? Any questions you have? Or anything you're wondering about?
The length of the process.
The length of the process.
Just because once you achieve a goal, then there'll be another goal, and then so I guess how that's sized out.
Yeah. How do you know when you're done? How do you know when you're there? Yeah. Good question. Any others?
Maybe more concretely what the definition is.
Yeah. What is it? Okay. Anything else you're curious about?
How much it costs?
Yeah. Is it expensive? Okay, last question for the room. Y'all signed up to come to a workshop today called Generating Breakthroughs, something having to do with life coaching. What would you like to get out of today's conversation?
Better understanding.
Better understanding of?
What
Go ahead.
obstacles as far as breakthroughs? What do we define as breakthroughs?
What's a breakthrough? Perfect. Okay.
Real life application.
Real life application. Awesome.
Faster, easier, shorter routes to destinations.
Yes. We like to call that turbocharging results. I know that's really corny, but I love it. Okay, any others?
Optimized route.
Optimized route? Yeah.
Defining the first step. The definition
Hey.
of the first step. What-
Yeah, where do you start?
Where do you start?
Okay, perfect. Any others? All right, what we just did was one of the first key tenets of coaching, which is gathering a coaching request. So instead of me coming up and telling you all about what coaching is, it's important to learn that if you guys are my coaching partners in today's conversation, that you get what you came for. So y'all are in the driver's seat today. Whatever we come up with today is going to be your creation, not mine. And that's a really key foundation. Somebody said partnership, right? That's exactly what it is. We're here today. I'm not the expert. You're not here to learn from me. We're here to see how we can create this together. And that's how you'll get to experience coaching. Okay, so today's workshop, this is how it's going to go. It's really unstructured. It's going to be really fun. Tell you a little bit about myself, my backstory, my background in technology and coaching and how I got here. And we'll go through some basics. And what we're going to do is actually explain to you what coaching is in terms of what it's not. So we're going to do a compare and contrast between management and coaching. And then we're going to go through a case study, actually right here at Skookum, with a technology challenge and how coaching might apply to that challenge. And that's it. That's all we're going to present. And then from here on out, we're going to do real-time coaching with each other in the room. So if you guys have a technology base, we are here at a tech talk. We can really talk about anything. But if you have a technology-based challenge or question or idea that you want to work through, please bring it up and we'll do it. We'll do it in front of the room and we'll see what comes out of it. And what's really cool and scary about this is I have no clue how this is going to go. That's how coaching works. When you come to a client, it's very important that we show up, the coaches, with no agenda. We have no results that we're trying to get them to. We don't know what you guys are going to show up with, what challenges are on your plate, what roadblocks have come up for you since we last talked. It's all very organic. I don't know how you respond to that term, but it all unfolds organically, and we're not here to drive you through an agenda. We're here to see what you're able to create. Make sense? You guys have any questions? Any impressions?
So the case studies, that's something you're currently working with Skookum on?
Yeah, so it's an example. I came into the Skookum offices last Friday. They offered graciously a way to help prepare for this talk. So I came in and met with some folks at Skookum and said, what challenges are you having? And we did a little bit of coaching, and we're going to explain how that went here today as a real life example. You guys have any other questions? Okay, my story. So why am I standing here today at a tech talk talking to you guys about technology and coaching? So what I did was I threw some of my credentials up on a slide because it made me feel important and special so that you guys would think I was qualified. But these really don't matter at all to our conversation today. How I got here is I have a technology background. I have an MIS degree from Ohio University. Came up through the ranks in IT management at the banks, and also have experience at a mobile technology firm. But I found myself at a point in life, and let me see if anybody can relate. Have any of y'all ever just felt burnt out? Yes? Has anybody ever felt like your life is good on paper, but you're just not as happy as you should be? Yeah, things are going well. I have a good job. I have a stable job. It actually pays pretty well. I got a raise from last year. And got a family, and I've got a kid, and I've got a nice house. Like, I should be a lot happier than I really am right now. That's where I found myself a couple years ago. I had a great, challenging job that was stressing me out a little bit more than it probably should, and that was spilling over into home life. And then home life was starting to struggle, and that was spilling back into work. And then that was spilling into wellness. Like, no one thing was really wrong. Everything on paper was great. But what I realized is that my experience of life is not really where it could be. Kind of felt like a hamster wheel. And at this time, just as the universe would have it, I came into contact with a life coach here in Charlotte. Her name is Sarah Olin. She was actually introduced to me by my husband at a networking event, which is very random. So I met with Sarah and was like, I don't know where I'm at. Life's good. I feel a little lost, but nothing's really broken. And I feel like people who seek out life coaches have a big issue they need to fix. I don't really have a big issue. I just have some general, spin going on. And what she helped me realize is that coaching is not about fixing your life. That's actually the reason 99% of us seek coaches is because we think there's something to fix. But coaching is not the least bit about fixing your life. It's about creating something new. So we started working together, and this inkling came in the back of my head, like, this is really cool work. I wonder if I could do this. I've had success as a manager, right? Like, management and coaching are pretty similar. People work on my team. They like working for me. They have good career development. Should I be a coach? So I kind of brought this up to her, and what we got to was, Sarah, I'd like to put together a plan where I become a life coach. Don't know what that is yet. Where I become a life coach in 2 to 3 years. Great. Let's put together that plan. But Lauren, what's with the 2 to 3 years? What's up with that? Well, then the list of can'ts comes out, right? Well, I can't do it right now. I don't have any time. Like, I can't do it right now. I don't have any money to start a business. Like, I can't do it right now. I don't even know what it is. I don't have any training. Can't. So what you do there is take a look at what's really going on with all the can'ts. What's really going on here? What are you afraid of? Right? Why are you stuck in what's probably going to happen and not what could possibly happen? And that's coaching. That's the exact power of what it is when you start to examine your automatic ways of approaching a situation, getting really, really aware of them, and then choosing to try it differently. So that's what we got to. And I made a bold decision and said, okay, screw it. I'm afraid. I'm really afraid to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I signed up for a year-long coach training program. I fly to New York every single month and do immersive training there. The month I returned back from my first weekend, I signed my first full-pay client. Signed my second full-pay client a few days after that. And then a week after that, found out I was expecting baby number 2. So it's been a crazy year, which brought up a whole other rounds of can't. This is not the time. There's too much going on. What's going on? It's wonderful to have a coach to work with. When your fears come up and get in the way of what it is you really want to do, your coach is there to stand for you, for what you said you wanted, for the thing that seems impossible, and just kind of helps you bust through all of those can'ts. So the last thing I'll say about my story is this, and then we'll get more off me and onto coaching. But if you would have told me 2 years ago that this would be my life, when I was on the hamster wheel of stress and work and tired and busy and no time to work out, if you would have told me that today I'd be standing in front of you as a life coach, working full-time on a securities trading floor, as an entrepreneur, starting my own business, coaching dream clients, C-level executives, entrepreneurs, authors, all while growing a baby and traveling to New York every single month, I almost get a little bit emotional. I wouldn't have believed you. So that's the amazing power of coaching that I would love to invite all of you to maybe take a closer look at. It's amazing. So I'll pause there. Do you guys have any questions or impressions based on what I just shared? Got a thumbs up? Got a little emotional there.
You got a coach?
Yes. Yes, this is my one tip. Coaches try not to give advices, but don't work with a coach who doesn't have a coach. I wouldn't trust a doctor who doesn't trust doctors. You know what I mean? So yes, I've worked with a coach for a couple of years now. Since I'm in this intensive year-long training program, I actually have the benefit of a team of coaches right now, because I need lots of help. Do you have a question?
I was just going to ask if you're still working with your coach.
I started with the one coach, and now I have a new coach and a team of coaches, and I will continue. Can't imagine life without a coach, actually. Does have any questions? Okay. Okay. So who's wondering, again, what this all has to do with technology? Anybody? Okay. Well, let's do a compare and contrast between coaching and management. That's how I'm going to explain coaching to you, since management is very familiar to most of us, and coaching is kind of squishy and weird and out there. So who here is a manager? Who here has a manager? Probably all of us. What do you guys think is the role of a manager? And let's keep it, since we're here at a tech talk, let's keep it specific to technology. What do you guys think a manager does?
Set tasks and stuff.
Set tasks?
That they also should be.
Yep.
Along the same lines I was saying, provide
Strategic
strategic direction.
direction. Okay.
Cascade directives from upper management.
Yeah. Any others?
That's resources.
Mm-hmm. Resources?
Remove impediments.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a Scrum term, right? Remove impediments. All right, cool. I made a list as well, and they seem to line up pretty close. Okay. So I have managers over here. As you can probably predict, coaching will come up on the other side, and we'll compare and contrast. So managers are typically in a senior subordinate type relationship with their employees. So somebody reports to somebody, typically, right? There's a hierarchy. Managers are supposedly experts in their field. We've all had that bozo manager that doesn't know what they should. I've probably been that bozo manager at times. But they're experts in their field, and they provide training and impart knowledge to their team. Yeah? Okay, managers drive toward results. Some of us have KPIs, some of us have sales goals, some of us have implementation dates, but we have a specific result that we're driving toward in management. Managers give assignments to the team. I heard that one. Managers provide performance criteria, you know, how to know if you're doing a good job, and then they assess you against that criteria, your performance review. Managers set and follow professional boundaries, usually. I know there's exceptions. But for the most part, if you're having a bad day at work and it's because you and your spouse got into a fight that morning before work, you probably won't have that conversation with your manager, probably. It's for the most part a professional relationship. And lastly, your manager might share feedback about you with their higher ups or peers, right? They may take your performance review and share it with others in terms of like a resourcing conversation. You guys agree? There's more. There's definitely more, but these are some of the things that I came up with. Okay? Here's how coaching is different. Note, I'm not saying here's how coaching is better. They're both equally critical to an organization, but this is how coaching is different. So in a coaching partnership, there's not, you know, a higher and a lower. It's a complete partnership of equals. And in fact, I like to use the term co-pilot. It's kind of cute. All right? Coaches, unlike managers or consultants who have all of the expertise, believe that you as the client actually have all the expertise you need in your own life. There's nobody else in your life who lives in your body and your brain and your house and your life except for you. So we don't presume to have any sort of expertise or knowledge about you that you don't already have, which is sort of a different thing than consulting, which is sort of a different thing than management. Okay, coaches. This one I've had to really get trained out of management and into coaching personally, is coaches are unattached to results. So if a client comes to a coach and says, I want to get a $10,000 raise this year, right? A manager might say, okay, well, in order to get that, you're going to have to perform And maybe we'll look at the $10,000 raise. A coach has no attachment to whether or not you get that $10,000 raise. A coach, all they do is stand for what you say you want and what you want to create in your life. Because if we were attached to results like your manager, it would just be more of the same, right? Okay, so rather than giving assignments to a team, coaches hold clients accountable to self-created milestones. So like I said, you're the expert in your life. You actually have it in you, whether you know it or not, to create the next step toward that big, juicy goal that you have. So I'm not going to tell you what that is. Again, I don't know what that is for you. You know what that is for you. But if you commit to creating something in your life, I'm going to stand for you and hold you accountable to it. And when things fall off the rails, like they always do, we're going to look at why and support you and regroup and figure out what's next. Okay? But we're not giving, you know, assignments and milestones and tracking the same way. Let's go to the bottom two. So I said before that you might not say to your boss, you know, I had a fight with my husband before work and my head's not in the game today. With a coach, the conversation is 100% confidential. Whether it's in an organization or a private coaching conversation, nothing leaves the room. I'm bound by the International Coach Federation Code of Ethics on this. It is absolutely tantamount to coaching to keep it confidential. So I have a little asterisk, no boundaries, say anything. I had to put the asterisk there because you probably shouldn't threaten your coach or proposition your coach, or there's a couple of little, you could try, we can see how that would go. You can say virtually anything. There's nothing you can't. You can say your deepest fear, the thing you're afraid to admit to anybody, that goal that's out there that seems crazy, like I want to make $1 million as a life coach. I mean, you can say it to your coach, right? If you may not be comfortable saying all that stuff to your manager. Okay? Oh, last slide, and then we're going to get really into technology. Coaching is weird, all right? So who in the room identifies as a left brain person? I do, right? We have technical degrees, right? Who here sees themselves as an analytical, intellectual person? Yeah. So who here sees themselves as a problem solver? Right. So these are, I'm generalizing, but I think these are sort of left-brained ways of being. So that if you come to a coach and you have an actual problem, like my code won't compile, you're probably going to want to find a tactical solution to that problem, right? Well, bring in an expert, like bring in some debugging tools. Like you're gonna want to do stuff for your code to get it to compile. Coach is gonna ask you some weird ass questions about your code, right? Who are you being about this? Your code won't compile. Like what's really bothering you about this? There's something underneath because it's not just code. What's the context of the narrative at play here? How does this relate to your bigger purpose? What are you really afraid of? Like, these are kind of weird, squishy questions to those of us who work in technology and finance and what I call left brain fields. What's cool about it is this is where possibility lies. When you're in an unknown space, when you're used to solving things tactically, and then you've got somebody asking you the weird questions and taking you into the unknown zone, that's where breakthroughs actually happen. So that's why it's great to have a manager and a consultant and a coach in your life, because it's a really comprehensive way to attack what it is you're trying to create. Coaches love you when you're at your worst. It's okay if you're having a breakdown because it means you're right about to have a breakthrough. This is probably different from managers and consultants that are like, this guy's the worst, right? When we're coaches, we love you when you're at your worst because you're really looking deep. Last thing, breakthrough. Title of the talk is breakthroughs. What is it? There's a million ways to define this. You can probably all define it for yourselves, and you should. But the easiest way I think of it is when you see something that can't be unseen. And they trained us on this in my New York program. They said it's like an elderly woman sunbathing topless on the beach. Like once you see it, you can't unsee it. That may bring up positive or negative things for you, but once you see something, whether it's an automatic pattern that you have or revert to, whether it's a new thing that's possible you never thought was possible, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And now you're in breakthrough. All right? That's pretty much the end of my spiel. So do you guys have any questions before we get into the real life examples?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that you advise that you shouldn't coach with a coach that doesn't have a coach. So if you're looking for information or guidance in a specific field, should you look for coaches that have that skill set as well?
Good question. Did you guys all hear the question? Okay, can I repeat it?
Sure.
All right. So what he asked was, I had said you probably shouldn't work with a coach who doesn't have a coach. But what if you need advice on a specific topic in your field? Should you call a coach or should you call a consultant or? Okay. What do you think?
Well, I'm asking you relative to coaching. If you're talking to your coach, should you seek out coaches that have experience and skills in your field, like whether it be banking or finance, or are coaches just kind of general, so to speak, in giving their information and guidance, or do they give specific, something's happening with your code, you need to do this, you need to put a tilde there and backslash,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, should we seek industry-specific coaches?
Correct.
What do you guys think? You guys see anything in the question?
I don't think there are.
What was that?
It doesn't seem like there are industry specific coaches, right?
They're out there. Yeah.
What kind of problems you have, maybe? What kind of conversation you want to have? If you want somebody unbiased, or if you want somebody that's giving you industry-specific information, yeah, you should go to an industry-specific person.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I would have said too, is it depends on what you're trying to create. If you're trying to build a hard, tangible skill, you may want to get training. If you're trying to, now a coach will help you with this too, but a coach will kind of help you thrive in your pursuits. But yeah, you guys are starting to get it. The difference between consulting or training and coaching is somewhat distinct. So I have a background in technology, specifically quality assurance, right? If I'm coaching somebody who's a QA analyst, I'm not going to give him advice on his QA management tools, structures. It's a disservice. That's not what he hired me for. I would send him to a consultant or a peer or a friend or, mind meld with somebody on a tactical topic. But I will never tell a client what they should or should not do, or even suggest what they should or should not do. Does that help?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions?
So I'm struggling with this.
Yeah.
You're talking about coaching. Coaching is part of leadership. So if you have leadership in an organization, if you have a leader that you work for, that's
they're coaching. And so this sort of, you know, is part of that. So how to say if you actually have true leadership in an organization, how does coaching come about? Because it is almost one and the same.
Yeah, did everybody hear the question? You got leadership team? Well, let me see if I can paraphrase.
But not, I mean, I'm not talking about senior management because oftentimes senior managers are top managers, not leaders. So there's a difference between management and leaders, right? So leaders are supposed to coach. That's
Mhm.
servant leadership and any other methodology you can think of style. But so when you're a true leader and you're coaching your people, where does a coach come in? Because you already have a leader that's coaching, or if you're a leader, you're actually coaching your team. So
Good
I'm trying
question.
to see how a life coach would come in, say, if you're dealing with work issues in a work environment, because you go into companies and coach people, their issues about work, right, but not technical issues.
Well, what do you see? What do you see as possible?
Well, I mean, in leadership, you would have leaders doing this already, so I'm struggling understanding where life coach would come in, unless you want life coach for your personal life and not, professional life.
Yeah, I heard something really cool in what you said, which is that it could be both. What do you see there?
Somebody who's, I guess, somebody who does research on leadership, that's my struggle because to me they're both the same. They're one and the same.
Mhm.
A leader is a coach, but not everybody's a leader, and you can be a coach without being a leader as well.
Right. So what's missing for you here?
So,
I'm being intentionally weird. You guys see it?
I guess I'm just trying to see where where you would come in, say, to an organization and do this if they already have leadership. Okay, so how do you, are you teaching leadership?
Yeah, so it would depend on the needs of the organization. What does the organization need? I don't know, right? They're the experts on them. So it depends on what the organization is trying to cultivate. If they feel that there's something new they need to create or there's a gap to be resolved, I don't know what it is yet. But I would implore the organization to ask what it is they're trying to fill or create or change. And then we would go from there. So I guess what I'm saying is there's no carte blanche answer to your question. Leaders always do this and coaches always do this, and here's how they always interact.
But a work leader or manager at work has an agenda. It's their job to look out for the goals of the company, whereas the life coach is completely unbiased, and the coach is trying to help you figure out on your own what it is that's missing, whereas a manager or a work leader is going to be leading you to the goals of the company.
Yeah.
Is what I see.
Yeah. What did you guys hear in that? Yes.
I have a question, or I don't know what it is, about your definition of coach, that says not responsible for results. And I'm thinking of sports. I'm thinking that if I want to hire a life coach, I want you to be partially responsible for results. In real life, coaches get fired because their team
Yes.
sucks. And it's like, if you have great players and you have all this, at the end of the season, if you didn't produce the results, and the flip side is also true, they hire a new coach, they keep the same players, and they win. So I'm not comfortable with the idea of my coach not being invested in the results.
Yeah.
That's
Anyone
not-
else
not
feel
good.
the same?
Because then maybe you don't get paid.
Sports coaches are more managers in that case, would you say?
In Europe, in soccer leagues, they don't call them coaches, they are called managers.
Yeah.
It's called management. I mean, it's-
Baseball.
And also, coaching is different. Coaching as a profession versus coaching as an activity that you do as a manager.
Mhm.
Coaching, I mean, some folks, you think of it maybe synonymous with feedback. You're giving a subordinate some feedback or some coaching, but when you're actually trying to hold them accountable for a result that you need from them
Yeah. Yeah, great question. I've heard that quite a bit, actually. Can anyone else relate to what he's saying?
Yeah.
Right? If I'm going to pay a coach, I better get results.
But in
You guys feel
sports,
that?
They already have designated plays. They already know what they're running. They already know it's already assigned. It's just coding. So what I think you're doing is helping an individual create those plays to run, and it's up to the individual to run it.
I
If
love
we're
the way you
staying-
said that.
If we're staying in the sports theme.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Did you have
Did I
something?
just lose people's
Yeah,
I loved it.
Stepping away from the sports analogy though, like, I do get what he's saying about still expecting results if you're paying for a service, such as coaching.
Yeah. So did you guys all hear that? If I'm paying for a coach, I expect results.
I expect better results than I would on my own.
Totally. Yes. I could relate. I felt the same. I've had clients ask me this because we do contracts for a set period of time. How do I know at the end of our contract I'm going to have any results? So the best analogy I can think of is hiring a personal trainer. Does anybody here work with a personal trainer? Yeah? Okay. How do they guarantee results?
Right here.
They don't guarantee results? Why not?
Well, you have to put in the work.
And spend like maybe 2 hours a week with you, and I would be recommending that to see if you're actually.
They can't control you at night, but they can control burritos or whatever.
Yeah, they can't control your Chipotle habit. Yeah, I'm with you. So what do you guys see in this? I could go on and tell you my vision of this analogy, but what do you guys see?
Well, I just want to say my brother's a personal trainer, and he's a professional bodybuilder. He's ridiculously into it, and he does guarantee results, but you have to guarantee him you do what he says. You do what he says he wants you to do.
Got it.
You have to be there at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, so they get into partnership.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
6 meals a day. The little
But there's a difference there between somebody who's getting coached on how to do something as opposed to somebody who's professional who's already an expert at top of the game. So when they get coaching, it's more mindfulness or how to get out of their heads and not make mistakes because they already know how to hit the ball, how to run the hurdles or whatever, complete a race. Where somebody like us, we get a trainer, we're actually learning how to lift weights or how to, do whatever, yoga.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between the two, whether you're a professional or you're an expert. So same if you're a startup and you don't know anything about business compared to a CEO who's been at it for 60 years, who's, knows
The
it.
results with a coach just might be less measurable and less concrete, just depending on what you're seeking out. Like I worked with a coach before, and it really was just because I was generally feeling lost and trying to figure out where to go, just in life. And she really focused on helping me uncover some of my passions and figuring out ways to channel those into my career and into my life. And so, I mean, yes, I got results, but not like measurable, specific, concrete results that you might get working with your manager at your company, but more like, okay, I'm feeling like I have a little bit more direction at least, and I know
Yeah.
what I really love and what I don't love. And so I think that's the difference really between coaching and managing.
That's awesome. I have to resist my urge to agree and disagree with folks. That's something I'm getting trained on in my coaching practice because I want to be like, yes, I agree with you. But that was her experience of it. Everybody has their own experience of working with a coach. All right, I did a time check a moment ago. This is such engaging conversation. We have 20 minutes left. So I want to make sure we have time. We'll do the Skookum case study real quick. Glenn, we can just tell everybody real quick what we did as a real life example. And then I do want to make sure this is a true tech talk. I want to stay true to my word that we're going to talk about technology today. So I'm hoping that you guys will bring, for the last 20 minutes or so, a coaching request, a coaching challenge that you have around technology so you can see how they interact with each other. Does that sound like good use of our time for the next? Okay. All right, so like I said, I had the opportunity to come in last Friday to the Skookum offices, and I met with Glenn Goodrich, who's principal engineer here. This is Glenn.
Hey.
And had a very, hi Glenn, I had a very open-ended conversation. What's up in your world? Do you have an idea or a challenge or an opportunity you want to talk to a coach about? And we had a great conversation. So, do you want to share?
Sure. So, working at Scooping is so great. It's really hard to find anything that I needed coaching on. But this example here is we obviously data driven to some extent, as any software development company is. But I've seen some chances to improve that, but I can't seem to do anything but see and complain about them. So my approaches to this point have gotten me nothing. So that's the one I brought up, where I would like to improve the way we collect metrics in some cases around what we do.
Yep, did everybody hear that? Improved metrics. Okay, so prior to our coaching conversation, how would you approach this challenge?
A lot of complaining. Ineffective, yet I've done it for a long time. No, a lot of sending out links and hey, we should do this, and creating artifacts like hey, if we track these things from here. Generally to everyone, kind of blasting it out, standing in front of people and saying, hey, everyone, we should do this, and then not getting done. I'm like, why are we doing this? So there's a lot of that, and then a lot of returning to my cave and writing code and getting better about it.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. There's one more question for Glenn, but do you guys have any advice for Glenn based on what you just heard? What would you advise him to do?
Just
Yell
yell louder.
louder.
Yell pretty loud.
What else?
Focus and stay consistent in the message. With the vision which you're trying to get.
Well, first thing is why do you want the metrics to achieve? Whereas, to me, though, the ultimate metric is money. Everything else is a sub-metric of that, including time. So, what's the point? I guess is the question.
In some
You
cases,
can collect data for no purpose at all. That just simply wastes your time.
very true. Showing what metrics to collect. I had bosses that wanted to know things too. So often they tell me what metrics to collect. There's also things I want to know as a developer. I want to be better at predicting when I'm going to be done. I want to provide better data to people that ask me questions. How long is this thing going to take? Sometimes, how long is something going to be developed? You feel like you're going, how long is a piece of string? Well, as long as you cut it. But yeah, metrics, you can say, well, this piece of string needs to be this long. I would like to be, we do a decent job, but it's one of those things where you can always be better. The closer you get to being as good as you can be, the more you need metrics to make sure that you don't go in the wrong direction. That's a part of my challenge.
Self-awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I had to be cognizant of my IT management background because I want to be like, yes, metrics. I also love metrics. But being unattached to the results of what he was looking for, we asked the weird questions. So what were some of the weird questions? Like, what's this really about for you? How is this impacting your experience professionally? Like,
Yeah. There's some squishiness.
some squishiness, right? It's weird. So what did you take from the coaching conversation?
So we did come up with actionable things, and it took a full hour. Again, probably part of that was me, as a technical person. You're right. You asked some weird questions, and I was like, I feel uncomfortable. But it was good. Yeah, it was good.
Shouldn't speak to me.
Yeah. And so I have a new approach. I'm going to try. Sincerely, like it worked. Or at least it gave me something to try. I can't say if the approach worked because I haven't done it yet. So I have a new problem. I need to do the things I'm going to say I'm going to do. We can talk about that after.
I would love to. So what was the breakthrough? What was the thing that you saw that now can't be unseen?
I think there are other people that care, I think, about this particular problem as much as I do. So rather than blast this out of the company, because I think everyone should care about it, other people have other priorities, which means mine might be lower. We have a list to kind of collect a team of people who care and like leverage our
Do you guys take anything from that? Any questions? Okay. That's it. The PowerPoint deck should be done.